7 minutes of terror. Hey, curious kids. Kevin here. Today on A Place Called Space, we are talking about the Mars rover Perseverance landing on Mars. So how does Percy land on Mars? Well, it launched from Earth on July 30th, 2020 and traveled hundreds of millions of miles over about 7 months to land in Jezero Crater on February 18th, 2021. Now, Percy's main mission is to see if there was ever any ancient life on Mars and prep samples for a future return mission that would go there, gather them up, launch them back to Earth. Now, at the time of the landing, Earth and Mars will be 200 million kilometers apart, or 124 million miles. So that means with the speed of light, it will take 11 minutes to send signals from Mars back to Earth. So when Percy sends its first signal that it's starting the landing process, it will already be on the surface, dead or alive. So there's nothing we can do in real time. The rover lands autonomously, or by itself, and we just wait. It's known as the 7 minutes of terror because that's how long we wait to know if it's alive after we first hear that it started. Now, this is freaky, of course, but also because only 40% of all Mars missions are successful. But on the bright side, NASA has successfully landed safely all 4 rovers so far. So let's make it 5. Now, the landing process is called EDL, Entry, Descent, and Landing. It starts with the cruise stage, which kind of looks like this. Rover's inside, getting rid of its solar panels, and then lining up the entry to the atmosphere. So Percy is going to enter the Martian atmosphere at 20,000 kilometers per hour, or 12,000 miles per hour, behind its heat shield. It's got a heat shield. And this heat shield will get up to 1,300 degrees Celsius, or 2,370 degrees Fahrenheit. But don't worry, the rover is safe behind the heat shield and only gets up to about like room temperature. So this would be the heat shield on front. As it's going down, little thrusters are fighting to keep it on track. This is called guided entry. At 11 kilometers or 7 miles high above the surface, it will slow down to about 1,600 kilometers per hour or 1,000 miles per hour. And this is going to deploy the supersonic parachute. And it is a giant parachute. It's 21.5 meters or 70.5 feet. And it'll slow the rover down to 320 kilometers per hour or 200 miles per hour. So during this parachute descent, as it goes down, that heat shield gets ejected and cameras and other sensors turn on to do TRN, which is terrain relative navigation. It compares what it sees down below to an onboard map, and then it moves to the right spot. Okay, now what's up next? At 2,100 meters or 60 feet above the surface, out of here shoots the rover and a jetpack. Yeah, shoots away from the parachute with the jetpack on. And it continues to lower itself on retro rockets. The jetpack does until 20 meters or 60 feet high. And then it's only going about 3 kilometers an hour or 2 miles per hour. We're really slowing down. This is when sky crane starts. The jetpack lowers the rover down on cables that are 6.4 meters or 21 feet long. So we got the crane up here and it's lowering it down. And that jetpack, or the sky crane, continues to lower down Percy to the surface. And the wheels during this time come out so they're ready to land. Now once the wheels touch down, we cut the rope and sky crane flies away and crashes somewhere else. And then there's Perseverance, sitting on the surface, wants to wheel around. Now this whole process of going from 20,000 kilometers an hour to 3 kilometers an hour to landed takes 7 minutes. The 7 minutes of terror. Now, on to trivia. The answer to last week's question of what country launched the first artificial satellite is B, Russia. This week's question is, where did Mars Curiosity land? Is it A, Tranquility, B, Olympus Mons, C, Gale Crater, or D, the Pit of Despair? Tune in next week to get your answer. Always be curious.